and welcome back to my channel, Good Effort Meg. Today I wanted to share with y'all some new sewing supplies that I inherited from my grandmother, my MEMAW as I call her. I wanted to do something a little bit more laid back and relaxed. As you could tell probably from my voice, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, so I wasn't really up to making anything this week. So but I wanted to make sure that I brought a video out to you guys because y'all have just shown me an incredible amount of support, and I thought this would be really fun. So just a little bit of context. So my MEMAW actually just recently moved to a new apartment, and while she was packing up all of her stuff, she was going through some of her old sewing supplies and just realized that since I've picked it up, she set it aside for me to sort through and pick out what I wanted, and then anything that I decided that I didn't want, I would turn around and donate it to somebody who, you know, obviously can use it. But yeah, so today I thought I would share you my MEMAW sewing haul. So without further ado, let's go through it. So one of the biggest things that my MEMAW gave me out of this move was actually her old sewing machine, and it is a Brother brand. I believe the model number is XL709. When I tell you this thing is heavy, holy cow. I don't have a scale that I could weigh this sewing machine on, but I'm pretty sure that not only is the exterior of the sewing machine metal, but all of the gears and the mechanics on the interior of the sewing machine, I'm pretty sure are solid metal. I haven't tested it yet to see if it works, but I do have a local sewing machine refurbished center local to me that I know I can go and drop it off, and they'll clean it up, they'll update anything that, you know, needs repair, and it's super duper convenient. I've not personally worked on a sewing machine because there's a little bit of like timing elements with the gears and such, and I just am so worried that I would mess up something that has such sentimental meaning to me that I don't really want to take a chance on it. I would rather practice on a sewing machine that I pick up from like a thrift store or something. So I don't think I'm going to take a chance on potentially messing up my MEMAW's old sewing machine, but really incredible that she decided to part with it and entrust it with me. So I hope I can give this baby a new life and maybe make some really cool garments on it. Now the next item that I'll talk about is this thread spool holder. And I was talking to my mom about it, and she actually told me that my peepaw, who is no longer with us, actually made this for my MEMAW back in the day. Because my MEMAW was such an avid sewer, my peepaw supported her by, you know, building her little things to help with her craft or things. He was a very handy man himself, and so it's really cool to have something that my peepaw created with his own hands as part of my own sewing collection, so that's really cool. So the way that this little spool holder is built is it's kind of like a long rectangular shape, and each side can hold 14 spools, so I can hold 56 spools of thread with this spool holder. And I think there's like, yeah, there's even 2 little spool holders at the top for bobbin thread, which is really cool. Currently I've been keeping my spools in a good old cookie tin, and I needed to fulfill the meme of having a cookie tin that was filled with nothing but sewing supplies. But now I have a proper spool holder, so that's really, really cool. So very excited about that. The next thing I wanted to talk about, which a lot of people who are into sewing might be excited about this kind of thing. I know I was, because I've actually been trying to find one for myself for a very long time, and I haven't come across one that I liked enough, or it wasn't big enough, whatever the reason. But it's actually my MEMAW's old sewing basket, and it came with a lot of her old notions that, you know, again, she passed down to me, and it's this really beautiful like pink and turquoise color scheme. I'm not sure where she got this, but it's really well constructed given that it's lasted this many years. I mean, she's had this probably since before I was born, so really, really cool. And inside, I'll just kind of go through quickly some of the notions that were inside. We have some Fiskars, like cool little shears. I'm actually not really sure what these particular shears would be used for, so I have to look these up to get a better idea if there's like a specific use for these type. But Fiskars is a really good brand. I use them, and so very excited for these. A pair of Fiskars pinking shears, and if you remember from my other sewing video, you know pinking shears are very handy for finishing edges, so that way your fabric doesn't unravel while you're working with it. So these will definitely get used. When I opened up the the sewing basket and I found these and I realized what they were, I started laughing just because I'm like, whoa, throwback. But we got some good old shoulder pads that can be installed in like a blazer or, you know, really whatever you want. But shoulder pads, are they coming back in style? I don't know. Came with another little cutting ruler, which these are always handy. I don't have one this small, so this is definitely super duper handy. And a lot of this other stuff in here, it's a lot of like buttons and elastic. I did want to show this in particular. So I had no idea what this was. Oh, hi Tyson. So I had no idea what this was when I saw this in the sewing basket. I was thinking it might have been like a cooking tool or something like that, but my mom explained it to me that I guess it's supposed to be used for darning, which I've never done before, but essentially my understanding is that if you essentially had a hole in your sock, like in the heel, you could use this to essentially pull your sock over top and then you can stitch on top, I think. I've not messed around with these. I'm excited to learn how to use one, but there's like 3 of them in here, so yeah. And I think like the last item that I want to highlight that was in the sewing basket itself, without going through each individual item, I'll do like a quick like B-roll film so you guys can kind of see what was in here. But this, oh my gosh. So I've been looking at getting one of these for some amount of time, and it's for making bias tape, which bias tape is essentially like you take the fabric that you're using and it kind of gets like folded over twice, and then you iron it, and you essentially can make like little trim pieces. So you could use bias tape for like little trim around your wrists, or if you're making like a tank top, it would go around like your shoulder piece, and you could even use it for like decorative purposes. But what this little guy does is you can kind of see the picture. You just kind of put your fabric in there and then you pull this along while you're ironing it, so you don't have to like fold it individually as you're working on it. So this is like a super handy tool that I've been thinking about getting for some amount of time. So this being in here is pretty cool. Also, I love like the vintage packaging. I don't know, it's just really cool. I can't see like a year on this, but definitely gonna hold on to the packaging too, just because I think it's really cool. So the next thing is another basket that my MEMAW would store some of her sewing supplies in. I don't know where this basket is from, but there's these beautiful like tokens or like medallions on them with some characters on them. My peepaw was in the Navy, so he's traveled all over the world and such. So it's very possible that he could have picked this up in one of the countries that he was visiting on deployment and brought it back for my MEMAW. I'm just not entirely sure, but it's a beautiful basket, and again, very well made, the fact that it's lasted this many years. But in this basket, we have some like fabric remnants that my MEMAW has used over the years, and I'm not really sure what I'm gonna use these for, but they will get used. They're not gonna go to waste. I think it'll just be really cool to use fabric that my MEMAW also used. And again, in here, you know, there's just an assortment of threads and scissors and elastic and bias tapes and things like that. Also, I'm pretty sure there's a pair of like surgical scissors in here. I'm not entirely sure. My MEMAW was a nurse, and so It wouldn't surprise me if she was like, oh, these are sharp, like I can use these for sewing. Also, another thing that I really wanted to show you guys that was in my MEMAW sewing basket, I just thought it was super cool. I really like history. I didn't like it as a kid, so I'm not the best, but as I've gotten older, I've learned to really appreciate world history and things. And so there was this vintage, these are sewing needles and really cool retro packaging, but this isn't even like the coolest part. So when you open it up, notice it says West Germany right there. So that means that these were packaged and or made prior to the fall of the Berlin Wall. So just like something that was really cool that you don't really see all that often. So little vintage sewing needles. I probably won't use these, but I'm definitely not gonna get rid of them because I think they're really cool. In this same sewing basket, there were two other little tools in here that I have never seen before, so I have no idea what they're used for. So if you are watching this and you know what these are, if you could leave a comment down below to let me know, because I don't even know how to like Google this and look this up. But yeah, these little rulers, but they have like almost like little fasteners at the end or something. I have no clue what these would be used for. And they got holes and they're tapered. Yeah, if you know what these are used for, let me know, because I have no clue. Never seen these before. Now, some of you may know what this next thing is, and some of you might not. Weirdly enough, I could like smell the house that it was in, if that makes sense. But this little guy is I mean, I don't know if it's officially used for this, but it's what my MEMAW used it for. It's a little thimble display. So my MEMAW collects beautiful, like hand-painted ceramic thimbles from all over. She's collected them for years, and she has a ton of these little wooden grid shelves, and she would just display her thimbles on them and hang them on the walls, and I thought it was really cool. So she has a ton of them, and she said she didn't need this one anymore, so I get my own little thimble display. So I guess I gotta start collecting ceramic thimbles now. But yeah, it was a little really cool idea for some displays. So the next thing that my MEMAW gave me was this container full of like buttons and random like clothespins and stuff, which I can always use clothespins. But I think some of these buttons are really cool, and I definitely wanted to highlight them because, I mean, like, does anybody remember Sears? Like, I know that if you're part of my older audience, you definitely remember Sears. I remember Sears, but the Sears that I know was less selling everything and more it was like clothes and hardware. So it's really cool to see these, like, I guess like naval inspired buttons, but they're from Sears. And do you see how much they cost? 39 cents. Like, I just think this is so cool. Yeah, I guess back in the day, like in the Sears catalog, you could buy an entire house. You could literally order it and they would ship you all the materials, and you could just build your house, and then you could furnish it all with Sears. I think that's like really cool, and it is really interesting to see how different everything is nowadays. But yeah, Sears back in the day, it's like our Amazon, I guess. So this next thing is super duper random, but again, I just thought it was absolutely fascinating. So my MEMAW was sewing their own drapes for their house. So at one point they were stationed way up in the New England area, and obviously if you're from the area, you know it gets really cold in the winter, and if you've never been up there or you're not from here, it gets really cold in the winter up in New England. But my MEMAW found these like pattern kits for some insulated drapery. And I guess either she made what she needed and had leftover materials, or maybe she never got around to making these. She gave me all of the hardware, and all of the hardware still works. It looks like it's in pristine condition. And I think I found the receipt for it, and I believe she bought it sometime in the 80s. Amazing quality, and I'm sure it was made of stainless steel or something, so it's not gonna rust. But I don't know, I think it's so amazing how certain things are built at such a quality that like they look brand new even today. So super random, just wanted to share that one. So obviously with any sewing haul, my MEMAW gave me a couple of patterns that she had lying around. And some of these just absolutely triggered some nostalgic feelings. So this pattern right here, which is Simplicity 9454, every year right before Halloween, my MEMAW would take me, my sister, and my best friend, and we would go to the fabric store, and she would have us sit around the table that has like the little catalogs that you can sift through, and we would pick out our Halloween costumes for that year. And then after we picked out the Halloween costume, we would go around and we would pick out the fabrics and the colors that we wanted. And this pattern right here, my MEMAW made for me and my friend for one Halloween. We were like little fairy princesses, and that's when we went trick-or-treating. I don't know why it's like one of the Halloween costumes that I like have the most memory of. I don't really know why that is, but like when I saw this pattern, I was like, oh my gosh, it's the pattern. So I'm definitely gonna hold on to this pattern because I would love to make it for my niece, or maybe in the future I can use it sometime. But I have so many fond memories of this costume, and so it's just really cool to like finally have it in my own collection. And this pattern right here, which is McCall's 2688, I also have a lot of just memories tied with it, specifically with this pattern right here. Like growing up, my parents always made sure that my sister and I had like a small Christmas tree in our bedroom so we could each decorate our own. And my MEMAW actually made our family one of these, and it's like a stuffed Christmas tree. And it's like one of those items that like when you get older and you move out of the house, you're like, when my parents start downsizing, I want that. But now I have the pattern and I want to make it because it's such a cute little decoration. And I don't know, it's like, it's fabric and it's stuffed, and so you don't have to worry about anything breaking on it. But it's just super cute. So I think I might make this pattern when we get closer to the holiday season. I might make a video on it just because I have so many fond memories of this little Christmas tree. So random, but like I just wanted to share that with you guys. So another pattern that my MEMAW gave me, but this one wasn't part of the move. She couldn't find it herself, but I was interested in trying to get my hands on this pattern. So my MEMAW actually got this for me for my birthday a couple months ago. But it is Simplicity's 8043, which is the Raggedy Ann and Raggedy Andy patterns. And some of you might be looking at this like, those are terrifying. That is the Annabelle doll if you are into scary movies. And yes, the original Annabelle doll is a Raggedy Ann doll, but my MEMAW made myself, my sister, and my mom Raggedy Ann dolls. And like there's the older, like larger size Raggedy Ann doll that was for my mom, and then there were two little ones for me and my sister. One was pink, one was purple. Purple's my favorite color. And so I really wanted to get my hands on these patterns because I would like to kind of carry on that tradition and maybe make some, you know, for other family members and such. I'm just a sucker for family traditions, if you can't already tell. And so even though Raggedy Anns can be a little off-putting for some people just because they, you know, find them a little scary, I'm hoping that the people that I gift these to will understand where it's coming from and, you know, enjoy them like I have and have fond memories with them. So this next thing that my MEMAW passed on to me is actually her sewing lamp. So it has a ring light bulb in it, and then in the center is a magnifying glass, which is super handy for when you're working on small items and such. Again, another thing that I've been eyeing to get myself for a really long time and just never pulled the trigger on it. So this is definitely gonna come in handy. I wear contact lenses. I have terrible vision without my contacts in. And so even with my contacts in, sometimes I struggle after a while to see if my eyes dry up and all that. So this is gonna be super handy for the days where I'm just tired and my eyes are just not doing their thing, so I can actually see what I'm working on. So that is a super great inheritance. Well, I think that's all I had to share with you guys today. I hope this was fun and relaxing. I apologize for this being kind of a shorter video, and I'm sorry if I'm kind of all over the place. Again, I'm just under the weather, and so I just need to take it easy this week and try to focus on getting some rest and getting better. But I still wanted to get a video out to you guys. Hopefully you see me putting in the effort. And know that I really do appreciate you guys' support, and I am seeing it, and I'm just so thankful that you guys are choosing to build a community with me. And a very special thank you to my MEMAW. I know you watch some of my videos, and I hope you watch this one. I'm very, very thankful for all of these things that you passed down to me, and I hope I can put them to good use and I can make some beautiful things like you made us. But if you guys enjoy this type of content and more, check out some of my other videos on my channel. If you want to stick around, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Again, that is completely free. You don't have to pay to subscribe. I really appreciate the support, y'all. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. I think I'm starting to lose my voice. Sorry, guys.